got a question?
What did you think of the matchup you guys drew in the NIT with Indiana State?
Great team. We started watching film as soon as we found out, and then we met early yesterday morning, and they're one of the best offensive teams in the country. And with the NIT, there's always this question of the motivation to play and all of this, and I think they're a team that's got something to prove. And it's not in Madison Square Garden, so if you advance, you get to stay close to home, and it's set up for them. So the motivation won't be a problem for them. So we're gonna have a really formidable test, and I think for us, the opportunity to finish on a different note, I think resonates with our guys. So it's a great setup for us.
You kind of mentioned in there a little bit, but when you've got teams that are publicly denying invitations to the NIT, what made it important for you guys to accept, and what do you see as the value in getting to compete here?
Well, I think the NIT is still prestigious, and the fact that the NCAA runs it and they want a quality field. I think it's less about the teams that decide not to play. That's their own business. Why? This is our 6th NIT appearance in school history. So it's significant, and it's a byproduct of a body of work that these guys put together. And so I just think it's a great opportunity to continue to play and to build on what we started.
What are you guys going to have to do to turn it around after what's happened to the last 6 games?
Well, I don't know if it's about turning anything around. And it's a single elimination tournament. We're going to have to play better. There was an effort that we gave at UAB, which is more similar to what had put us in this position in the first place. But to be honest with you, I feel like one of the coaching decisions that I made throughout the year is that we were going to shoot for an at-large bid. We scheduled accordingly, and we played in such a way that we kind of got up to that line and didn't break through. And I think the awareness and disappointment that we didn't get those quad 1 wins affected us in a way that we didn't rebound from. And so this is a fresh start mentally for these guys, because in their effort to get to the NCAA tournament, because with 10 wins last year, why would you schedule the way we did? It really wasn't logical on paper. Even my colleagues were saying, what are you doing, man? Just compile some wins. And instead, we put a schedule together that we thought might put us in a position to do something that wasn't expected. And we flirted with it. But our guys were calculating that each step along the way. And not hitting that mark affected us in a way that I didn't anticipate. And I think this renewed opportunity is good for these guys, and that's the way they responded on the practice floor yesterday, and we'll get another chance to practice today.
How's Chuck doing? I know he was able to just get a few more minutes back in that game, but how's he holding up?
Yeah, you know what? We had a full practice yesterday, and he had another kind of a tweak there, and he went down, and he bounced right back up and said, "I'm good." And so he didn't. We didn't have to wallow in that for very long, and so I will try to keep him out of harm's way today if I can.
They've got a 6'10" center, Robbie Avila. What are you guys going to have to do to slow him down?
Same thing everybody else did. Try hard and try to be smart. But he's such a threat because he shoots 40% from the 3-point line. So when he picks and pops, you have to deal with that. But then when he puts it on the floor, he's so savvy. He's such a great passer. If you try to double team him, which we've done throughout the year against good post players, he's a great passer. And they shoot the ball so well from every spot on the floor that you do wind up in a lot of pick your poison propositions as you go through the game. And he's at the center of that. The closest thing that we faced this year was Rice with Fiedler with his ability to handle and pass, but he didn't have the 3-point shooting aspect of it. So, and then they've got, they got a point guard that shoots 47% from 3. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? So that like you really can't attack them defensively by saying, all right, here's the weak spot. You're just going to have to do a good job, and then you're going to have to counter that with some quality offense of your own.
With the portal window opening now, and I think that kind of went into some of the other teams that decide not to play in the NIT. How is the balance? Is there a balance right now of starting to get that going versus preparing with the NIT, and just kind of what's your?
I think if the portal was in effect in '96 when we weren't using smartphones and iPads and laptops, this idea of not playing or not being able to focus on both might have some, real legs to it. But I don't necessarily buy that. Like you guys are going to be able to put this on YouTube, and I just think technology allows you to practice for 2 hours and spend the rest of the day focused on recruiting, and you can play a game, and once the game's over, you can get back on the phone and do what you need to do. I think what does happen though is if you wanted to have an official visit Wednesday, you wouldn't be able to do that. And I think teams are who are communicating with guys and want to do something quickly and get a guy on campus right away. In those instances, it certainly creates some dilemmas, and people are making a choice based on that, I think, in many cases.
You guys do have a lot coming back next year. What is kind of the approach with the portal, or have you had conversations with your guys, or starting to look at, if there is opportunities to bring in other players too? I don't know the
we expect to have several opportunities to bring in impact quality players, and we think we're going to have several coming back. We think we're going to have some depth coming back, but we need a couple of guys that bring immediate impact, and we feel good about the traction we've already gotten on day one. And we are looking at our schedule saying, all right, we need to do an official visit, and how the tournament plays out dictates those dates. So I can understand what some of the schools are thinking of, but and especially for teams that have 8 scholarships to fill, why be playing? And so, but when you've got 3 or 4 scholarships to fill and a lot of guys coming back, they need this experience. So the balance that we need to strike is specific to our makeup.
Anything else?
When you look at preparing for the ACC with going after the portal, how much does that help having that? You mentioned kind of the traction you guys are getting early on. What's the feedback you're getting from players and that are in the portal and potential options?
Yeah, I think at this time last year, there was a lot of crafting of vision and apologizing for only having 110 games. But trust me, we're going to be better if you come. That happened, and so now having won 20 games and making the postseason and going to the ACC and needing impact resonates even deeper with people, because there is some teeth to it, that we played a schedule that people could see, all right, you were competitive against some Power 5 teams. A lot of people saw the Memphis game. And one of the things that happens with young people, we all had a taste in our mouth after the Temple game, but the kids were calling, kids don't watch this stuff the way we do. They don't feel it the way that we do. They view everything in snapshots and sound bites and highlights. And so on its face, what we've done defensively and offensively in terms of our numbers and where we rank nationally, from a foundational standpoint, we've got a lot of stuff to back up this vision that we have been expressing to people over the last year or so. And now it's got more teeth to it, and we still need impact players though. And so we've gotten some real good traction with some guys that, like I said, if we knew we weren't playing, we might have 2 visits Wednesday. But we're in good enough shape with at least those couple, and we only need to bring in a handful of impact players, but they have to be ACC caliber impact players.